In chapter 1 we defined what it was and we gave it a label, Khali, referencing the Hollow Age. In chapter 2 we diagnosed the issue and where it was coming, the why. In chapter 3 we're going to reference the how it's actually happening, and he refers to it as the machine. These are the systems, the structures, the processes, the society, everything around us that keeps us trapped in this state of Khali. So he refers to it as the machine. Again, references the actual problem, the issue of Khali, outward success, achievement, accomplishment, on the surface, doing everything that society expects of us to seem successful, but inside being totally empty, being totally hollow. And here we're referring to the machine, the machinery that keeps us stuck in that same state of mind, that same state of being empty, the anatomy of Khali. So the flawless hardware on the outside, the achievements, the wealth, the success, but inside our software is corrupted. What's happened is we've allowed the machine to overtake our hardware with its corrupted software, with its corrupted thinking, and running the software of the machine rather than our inherent software, which is what we've been given, is what makes us feel Khali. And it's not failure, it's not burnout, it's running software that was never meant for our machine. So we've already mentioned that there's a knowing doing gap. We know inherently inside of us what our original purpose is and being is. That hardware that we've been given, the software is still inside of us. But just like any app on your mobile phone or computer, if it's not being used, it's not active, it's not running the machine properly. And what's happened is we've allowed these viruses outside to think that's our normal operating software. So awareness is not the problem. We're aware that there's another part of us, another software that's available, accessible, but we're not executing that software. So execution within a hostile system is where emptiness thrives. We could be using our hardware and running software to survive in a structure, a society that serves the outside but not the inside. So 2/3 of the Ummah, 2/3 of the Muslim population know the purpose, but only 17% actually live in it, a 49% drop who are actually living the purpose. And this is data from 101 countries, so it's not isolated, it's quite wide in terms of its research. So he introduces you to the concept of the machine, an interlocking system designed to shape you away from your divine design. And it requires your emptiness. It requires you to take on board these colonial legacies, these attention algorithms, these secular frameworks, these economic structures. It requires your agreement to maintain that system and structure and that the way that the machine operates. And the main purpose of the machine is to create the illusion of self-sufficiency, that you alone are important, that your success is important, that your accomplishments are important, and that's what you should be striving for. The machine's ultimate goal is to convince you that you are the origin, not the vessel, so that you serve the machine better. That's the purpose of the machine. And the way it convinces you is to tell you that you're actually serving yourself. So look at the paradox here. The machine has convinced you that serving yourself is the best way forward, but what it actually does, it keeps you trapped in serving the machine itself. So the achievements, that self-made illusion is disconnection from the source. Indeed, man transgresses because he sees himself self-sufficient, leading to that Khali, that emptiness, because you're running that software to serve something you're not even aware of. So the arsenal of conditioning, he mentions 6 in here, 6 weapons designed to reinforce the lie of independence. They replace your divine reward system. Starts off with hijacked attention, the scroll trap, social media, the anxiety algorithm, constantly keeping you in a state of anxiety and then serving that anxiety with dopamine fixers by hijacking your attention and going on to low value things by social media, having a look at other people's lives, which then serves another purpose. It affects your worth, your hijacked worth. You start going into comparison against other people. and you're using metrics of your own worth as a success to see, are you on that holiday, have you got that car, have you got that house, those clothes, that jewelry, that handbag, your attention is hijacked, your worth is hijacked, and it ultimately contributes to hijacking of your agency. You then seek comfort. Yeah, you seek behaviors that give you comfort away from that anxiety, and you go into a consensus cage as well. So these 6 weapons keep you conditioned to the idea of self-sufficiency, independence away from your primary source. And there's a price of silence. The more you buy into that, even though you know better on a human conscious level, and you don't speak the truth of what you know, and you stay silent, then it leaves a gap. So you're accountable for what you know. Choosing silence over truth numbs the conscience and deepens the void. The more you avoid that signal inside you that's telling you what your real worth is and where to access that real world, is what this is really about. And the way it does it, the way the machine controls you, is it redefines words to control your behavior. When you accept false definitions, you live a false life. When you accept the definition of success that the machine gives you and you strive to fulfill that, then it's hijacked the most important thing it can do, which is the words and the meaning and the language. If it controls the words, it controls the thoughts, and it controls your identity, and you give up your whole agency to the machine, because it's telling you what to think, what meaning it has, and then effectively your identity. And it takes away your freedom, and you start living a life of indulgence and trying to fulfill the service and the purpose of the machine. So false labels versus true identity. You have to start getting away from the labels that the machine gives you for definitions of success and accomplishment and achievement and worth and agency. To name something is to understand it. You must rectify your true name to escape the rules. The machine's label, consumer. The divine reality label for that is the steward. The machine's label of metric, the divine reality label for that is the vessel. The machine's label of employee, the divine reality label of that is representative. The machine's label of origin, the divine reality is Khalyfa. So the machine gives you these labels, which you may not even be consciously aware of what you live by, but the divine reality of steward, vessel, representative, and being Khalyfa, full, is what we should strive for. So the thing with Hali and emptiness, it's actually monetized. It serves the machine's purpose, because the more you stay Hali, the more you try and fix that Haliness. And the way it does it is to do more, achieve more, buy more, get more obsessions, get more experiences. It's not an accident, it's a design. This whole structure, systems, processes of the materialistic Western world is consumerism, and your emptiness is the engine of $1 trillion economy. It would collapse if everyone started connecting with that divine purpose. So it manufactures insecurity and it sells you the solution. It's a constant cycle. So the only exit is revelation. You cannot escape a prison using tools forged inside it. Only a voice from outside the system can break it. And the Khalyfa book, the content of the book, gets you started. So share this material with other people to help them break away from the machine. And return of the Khalyfa. The old empty self dies, the steward rises. Remember your dependence and you remember your purpose. You no longer are stuck in the machine. But the machine will fight back. It'll try and keep you trapped. There's so many people living in the machine that we do have to abide by some of the rules of it. But we can feel full by recognizing what the machine is and still operate independently of it. So remembrance is the starting point. Hali is emptiness. Remembrance to Khalyfa, the alignment and stewardship. So purpose is resistance. It's resistance to being controlled by the machine. You can still exist in the machine and function and serve and have the accomplishments and achievements. It doesn't mean you give up everything. You can still outwardly be successful as well according to the machine's definitions. But inside you're full, because you realize that you're a steward, and that even without those things, you can still feel full. So in a system built to make you feel empty, alignment is rebellion. When you break away from the system, you're already full, and ironically you get more of what the system offers you, because you're no longer trying to fulfill the service of the system. you're fulfilling your deeper purpose. Free people cannot be controlled. So the unbroken code, the machine can obscure your purpose, but it cannot erase your original design. That's the main thing there. Your core purpose is still always there. It never disappears, but it gets lost in noise, distraction, conditioning, and you need to access that divine encoding. So chapter 3. Chapter 1, we covered the name of Hali. Chapter 2, we diagnosed what the issue is. We've introduced in chapter 3 the concept of the machine and how it keeps you trapped. You start to see the code that's operating behind everything. So the invitation is to surrender to remember. Surrender to remember who you belong to and fight to remember who you are. So well done on getting to chapter 3. We'll continue these on chapter 4 when we'll complete part 1. Like, share and comment on this. Contact Faisal to actually continue this discussion, and I'll be back with another summary for chapter 4 later. Take care.